I didn't scream when the call came. I remember noticing that about myself. The number was unfamiliar, California area code. I almost ignored it. My son was supposed to be riding something gentle, boats, I think. My parents had insisted he'd be fine. We raised 2 children, my mother said when I hesitated that morning. We can handle 1 6-year-old. When I answered, the voice was polite and trained. "Ma'am, this is guest services at Disney. We have your child here at Lost and Found." For a moment I thought they meant a backpack, a hat. Then I heard him. "Mom." He wasn't crying loudly. That would have been easier. He sounded small in a way I hadn't heard before. "They left," he said. "They went home." I felt something settle in my chest, not panic. Recognition. "Who left?" I asked carefully. "Nana and Aunt Sarah. They said I was right behind them." There was no accusation in his voice. Just reporting. The staff member came back on the line, calm, professional. She explained that my son had been found near a merchandise kiosk alone. He had approached an employee and said his family went outside. Security had reviewed footage. The party he arrived with had exited the park nearly 40 minutes earlier. "Did they report him missing?" I asked. "No, ma'am." That was the moment something shifted, not loudly, but decisively. I called my mother while I was already in the car. She answered on the 3rd ring, sounding relaxed. Background noise. Probably her kitchen. "Hi, honey. Why did you leave my son at Disney?" Silence. Then laughter. Light, disbelieving. "Oh, really? Didn't notice?" she said, as if I'd told her he'd misplaced a shoe. "He must have wandered. You know how kids are. He's 6. My sister's voice floated in from somewhere near the phone. "My kids never get lost," she said, amused. "He probably wasn't listening." I let them talk. They explained how crowded it was, how he must have lagged behind, how they assumed he was with the other cousins, how parking was stressful, how traffic was bad, how it wasn't that serious. Not once did either of them say, "We're turning around." I said, "Disney security reviewed footage. You exited the park." Another laugh, thinner this time. "Well, what did you want us to do?" "We can't watch everyone every second." There it was. Something I had heard my entire childhood, rephrased in different situations. When I forgot a permission slip, when I got sick alone in my dorm, when I needed help moving apartments and they were too busy. "You're on your own." I didn't argue. I didn't yell. "I'm on my way," I said, and hung up. At guest services, a supervisor met me. Her name tag said, "Operations Lead." She spoke gently to my son, crouched to his height, offered him water. She explained their protocol. When a minor is found alone, security reviews entry and exit footage. If abandonment is suspected, documentation is created. Abandonment, I repeated. "It's a formal term," she clarified. "It doesn't mean intent. It means a minor was left without supervision." She asked if I wanted an incident report. "Yes," I said, not because I wanted drama, because I wanted a record. Security showed me still images, my mother, my sister, their children, walking through the exit gates, no one looking back, no one scanning the crowd, no one speaking to a staff member. Timestamps glowed in the corner. The supervisor's tone changed slightly, firmer now, procedural. If guests exit without a listed minor, we're required to flag the account connected to the ticket purchase pending review. My sister had bought the tickets under her annual pass. "Flag?" I asked. "Temporary suspension while the review is conducted." I nodded. That was the external consequence, not explosive, not theatrical, administrative, real. On the drive home, my son fell asleep quickly. His hand stayed wrapped in my sleeve for the first 10 minutes. I called my mother again that evening. Her voice was different this time. "What did you tell them?" she asked immediately. "Nothing untrue. They're saying our passes are suspended." "It's under review," I said, "because you left a 6-year-old inside a theme park." "Oh, don't exaggerate," she snapped. "We thought he was with you." "I was at work." "Well, he shouldn't have wandered." There it was again, the reflex, the shifting, the refusal to hold weight. I didn't match her volume. "You will not take him anywhere unsupervised again." A pause. A brittle inhale. "So now we're criminals." "No," I said. You're adults who made a decision, and I'm responding to it. My sister got on the line. Defensive, sharper. You're blowing this up. It was a mistake. I agree, I said. It was. Silence. But it's a mistake that could have ended differently. They wanted me to yell, to cry, to forgive loudly so they could laugh it off. Instead, I withdrew access. No more solo visits. No more spontaneous outings. If they wanted to see him, I would be present. My mother called it punishment. I called it structure. Weeks later, the review concluded. The park reinstated their passes with a warning notice attached to the account. I know this because my sister texted me a screenshot as if it proved something. See, not a big deal. I didn't respond. The consequence wasn't the suspension, it was the shift. I stopped asking them for help, stopped rearranging my schedule to accommodate theirs, stopped minimizing moments that unsettled me. When my mother tried to plan another trip months later, she said, carefully now, of course you'd come too. Progress in its smallest form. Sometimes I think about the laughter on that first phone call, how light it sounded, how familiar. Generational neglect doesn't slam doors. It shrugs, it jokes, it reframes, it says, you're overreacting. My son doesn't remember much about that day. He remembers a kind employee who gave him a sticker. He remembers waiting in an air-conditioned room. He doesn't remember being left. I do. And maybe that's enough. There was no courtroom, no public humiliation, no dramatic apology, just a boundary, just documentation, just a quiet recalibration of who gets access to my child and under what conditions. My family still thinks I made it bigger than it needed to be. They laugh less now. That's not revenge, that's awareness. And it's quiet.